Can you explain the process of, because I've been to your spot quite a few times, but the sorting process is crazy to me how much gets rejected.
Yes.
Strawberries, apples. I was like, what is all that? She's like, oh, that they didn't make it. And they look perfectly fine to me, but it's not her sorting process of what makes it is it's all quality.
Yeah, and
Like,
that's the biggest thing. Well, luckily we brought some so you can try.
Yeah.
But yes, that's the biggest thing is quality and consistency, and that's the challenge as well when you are trying to scale, right? And it's not something that it just takes a lot of skill, patience, practice, and yeah, as far as the process goes, like basically we want to make sure it's perfect before it gets dipped. And I will say that, of course, sometimes things slip through the cracks, and if you bring it to our attention, we're more than happy to replace it or make it right. But we hand inspect every single strawberry and every single apple that comes through. For the strawberries, that's a much bigger challenge than the apples, I would say. So the strawberries, they vary in size, shape, color, quality, quantity, price. It's never the same. Brands, they vary in so many different elements. And we will sort them by size more than anything. We'll pick out the rejects. There's different levels of a reject. A reject that is waste. If it's waste, it's absolute not edible. It's probably moldy. It's just really bad. It's mush. Or rejects that can be are really good rejects where it's a perfect strawberry, but it just has one little tiny detail that like it's a little edge. So you're just gonna chop off the green and chop it up for cheesecakes or fresas con crema. Or rejects that are like maybe like smoothie or strawberry puree quality. Like those are the ones that will mainly go in the reject bags that people love to buy. They do them for all kinds of different stuff, like feed them to their kids, feed them to their pets, make smoothies, make purees, make jams, all kinds of different stuff with those rejects. But we try to use as much as we can and only waste what needs to like be wasted. So make the best use of everything. The apples is just like light bruises.
But that's why I say like when you go there, like every bite.
We try.
Like, I don't know. To me, the first time I went there and I bit the apple, I was like, how the fuck is the texture so like perfect on every single slice? Like no matter if the first one or the last piece, it was the same crunch, same texture, and I was like, how the fuck? And then when I started to like ask her more about it, she's like, oh, our process of picking stuff out is really intense,
So when did you implement that process? So did you have that from like the very beginning?
Yes, I would say so. And it's important to grow, but yes. And it's just the standard that we uphold. And it's funny that I love it. I love that you notice that and that's something that you bring up. And when people bring it up, like it's the biggest compliment, or even like our cleanliness of our store. Because what's funny is we are very, very nitpicky at Dipped By Dee, and we have definitely very high standards because our customers expect the best. You're going to spend a pretty penny at Dipped By Dee, like you should be getting the best of the best. And sometimes our employees, like it is tough to navigate. Before, that was my biggest challenge, is being a good manager, being a good boss, being a good leader. And I've had my trials and tribulations, but overall we should all have the same goal, is to deliver quality and quantity and consistency to our customers so that they just get the best of the best. And sometimes we come in like nitpicking, like what like that. Like I don't want to put you down for what you've achieved, but I want you to understand like as great as you're doing and the levels and the steps that you're taking to get up there, like this is the standard that we're looking for. This is the consistency that we're looking for, because God forbid, like your family comes in here and they get that one thing that like is not up to standard, or even somebody else. Like you want it to be consistent. And like, yeah, like we're very nitpicky, even about cleanliness. We sometimes have like foodies come into the kitchen and they're like, wow, like this is the cleanest, most organized store we've ever, and it's a common compliment and it feels really good. And every time a foodie says it and the other employees are in the kitchen, I'm like, did you guys hear that? Because sometimes I'll go up to a station, I'm like, this is a little messy. Like, can we just like clean this up a little bit? Like, it just feels uncomfortable. I'm like, we have a window. So if you come into our store,
I was just going to say that, like, with a window looking into the kitchen, that
pressure is on.
Yeah, you have to be clean.
Yeah. How do you manage that? Like, especially like hiring, not just your core team that helps you build the business, but your regular employees. Because that's something that a lot of people have a hard time with. High turnover. They can't meet the standards.
Yes. I love that question. That is such a good question. I would say that We are very transparent. Maybe sometimes a little too transparent, but I think that that's something that's super necessary for businesses. I mean, we're still pretty small, I would say, but we can be as transparent as we can be and be honest and say, hey, look, like this is what we're looking for. So in an interview, for the interview process, we always require an application, but for the interview process, which we do also always require with everybody, even when we hire friends and family, we need an interview because our interview process is more to lay down expectations rather than get to know who you are, because we're not really caring too much about who you are or what you can do. A resume can say stuff, but what I need to know really about you is, are you reliable and are you willing to push yourself outside your comfort zone, really? And do you have good customer service, I would say. Outside of that, I want you to know the expectations that we have for you as an employee, and I also lay out expectations of what you should expect from us as a company. And I don't want to go into too much of a tangent from this because I actually don't do the interviews. Thankfully, I have a management team who does really well with their interviews, and you can kind of get the vibe out of them and see what they say. It is a challenge because sometimes you'll hire people and you're like, this person lied on their resume. What if they
have all the tangibles, but they're like a sweaty person? So when they're working, they're just like sweaty. Because I was just thinking, like, I sweat a lot. I was just like, I might be chopping apples and just sweating all over, and you just be like, you sweat too much.
That's such a funny question. I mean, in that's unrealistic, but realistically, I would say that like hygiene is a big thing. Hygiene is a big thing for us, and cleanliness. I think it just goes hand in hand, and that might be a red flag. We've never had
be sweating on the apples, bro.
You can't be sweating on the apples and strawberries.
But luckily,
I might come in with a headband and be like, hey, you gotta start using this.
Luckily, we keep our AC on blast at Dipped By Dee. You might not always feel it in the front of our store because the door comes up and open and close all the time, so it gets really hot in the front.
You're saying you're busy,
but in the back, it's like, well, it's just hot in Vegas. It's hot. And in a way, it's a little different, even though the AC could still be better there. Always, but in the kitchen where you don't get that much airflow from the outside, like it's nice and cold. We usually pack like light sweaters, so I think you might be okay on that part. If you're still sweating through that, I might be concerned.
Crazy, y'all.